Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kia ora, ngā mihi nui kia koutou kia ora. I rise to take a call on this, the annual review debate, which this is the natural resources theme. I'd like to touch on the Conservation Department annual review. Mr. Speaker, for anyone viewing this broadcast, this is a new debate with a new structure where we've grouped the annual reviews of Crown entities into these various issue themes. Now, Mr. Speaker, to begin my address, I'd actually like to look at the naming of this section. Now, my understanding of the process is the government put out a proposal what the various issue themes could be, and I'd actually like to take issue with this theme, which is called natural resources. And I'd like to posit some of the many issues you're seeing facing the conservation estate, facing natural New Zealand, comes from a mindset where we're viewing these things as simply resources out to be exploited, when we should actually be thinking about them in terms of natural capital, natural treasures or taonga, or in terms of natural carbon sinks, not just something to drill it, mine it, frack it. So, Mr. Speaker, when we group the Department of Conservation and our natural heritage and special places as natural resources, you're obviously going to think about it simply to be exploited. When you see something simply as a resource, be it the conservation estate, of course you're going to open it up to mining, drilling and fracking interests. And in fact, we can see it. We can see it with the actions of the government who sees our natural environment as simply a resource to be exploited. Just a few months ago, we saw Simon Bridges open up an area of our oceanic estate larger than the entire landmass of Greenland, more than 400,000 square kilometres. We've seen the Maui's Dolphin Sanctuary opened up for oil drilling permits. We've seen Victoria Forest Park, which the Department of Conservation itself describes as pristine, home to Kiwi, some untouched landscapes opened up for oil drilling. Now, Mr. Speaker, when you view the natural environment simply as a resource, you're actually going to support those companies who are trying to exploit it. And we've seen that. And in the last week, we've seen the clear hypocrisy that the government at the international level, when we heard it again in the crowdsourced climate questions, that the government is railing against fossil fuel subsidies globally, but they're being very nuanced about it. They're saying consumption subsidies, because clearly we don't do that in New Zealand. But when it comes to the production subsidies, like the $46 million in annual tax breaks the taxpayer is paying to big oil, the $20 million in seismic survey subsidies, the $210,000 spent by Minister Simon Bridges to host only 11 oil executives over 4 days, these are the subsidies which aren't being addressed by the government. So we've seen the Maui Sanctuary opened up for oil drilling, the conservation estate, Victoria Forest Park. We've seen a massive, historic amount of New Zealand's natural environment opened up for oil interests. Mr. Speaker, we should be talking about these not in terms of resources to be exploited, they're treasures. The last 55 Maui's dolphin on the planet, the world's smallest and most endangered dolphin, that is a natural taonga, and we shouldn't be seeing it or its habitat and environment, its home, simply as a resource. We should be looking at this area and imagine if we were debating around natural capital, the ecosystem service benefits, this quarter of the country, a significant area of our marine environment, serves for the New Zealand economy. We've seen an estimate previously that the clean green brand of which the conservation estate plays such a critical and vital role in has been estimated at $20 billion annually, and obviously it's a key plank in a more livable New Zealand. My vision of New Zealand is one where talent wants to live, and having beautiful, untouched, unspoilt, unmined, undrilled, unfracked places is an important part of it. Thirdly, we shouldn't just be seeing it as natural resources, because in fact, when you look at the coal, oil and gas resources, which the government's racing to throw taxpayer subsidies down those holes to exploit, they're actually natural carbon sinks. This is in fact sunlight which fell on the earth more than 100 million years ago. Those plants that decayed formed those fossil fuels. Scientists are advising us that we can't afford to burn between 70 and 90% of all the stuff we've found, let enough throwing taxpayers' money at subsidies, hoping someone finds some more. So no matter what you call it, and even if you call it a resource, you've seen Kiwi stand up against it. We've seen groups such as the Dunedin City Council yesterday, the Anglican Church, the Catholic Church making strong statements. They want to see a natural environment protected, not just natural resources.
I called Todd Muller.